Hello, welcome and good evening, good evening. Welcome to Speak Your Truth Youth MCR. Welcome to my channel, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about how Jamaica got religion part 2. I'm so here for it, I've been so excited. So yes, welcome, thank you for joining Enhance 101. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about part 2 of how Jamaica got religion. We started talking about it 2 weeks ago, but clearly we had Easter. So we are back today talking about part 2 because it was such a lit discussion. Thank you so much, love from Dida. Thank you so much, Empress of Kemet for joining, multitasking. I like it. So as you can hear, I'm playing a bit of Bob Marley in the background. You know how it is. Jamaica, Bob Marley. Come on now, it's not rocket science. So we're just going to have a little chat, a little introduction whilst we wait for Black History and Spice to come into the room. And yeah, let me give you a bit of a background as to what the channel is. But before I do that, I want you to like this live, clearly, share it, particularly with as many young people as possible, and Jamaicans. Well, not even Jamaicans, just everybody really, because Jamaica has influenced the world. Tiny little island, influenced the world. Music, dance, food, the list is endless. This tiny little island has influenced the world so much. Everybody needs to know about Jamaican history. The reason why we talk about history and Black history is this channel is specifically talking to the racial trauma of young Black and brown people. That's it. I'm a professional youth and community worker. I'm a mental health practitioner. I'm about how we can mitigate trauma for young Black and brown people because it's peak out here in these streets. Let's just be real. You know, it's not got any better. Small strides, small moves, but ultimately racism and anti-Black racism is still a massive thing. You know, microaggressions, colorism, the list is endless. Misogyny, massive issues for young Black and brown people and just young people in general. So part of this channel is trying to help them to understand the reasons why. And if we can arm ourselves with knowledge of our history, then boy, you know, it's going to be easier for those young people to feel more confident, to feel empowered, to have resilience. All of those things there in it. So yeah, that's about. What's that? Drippy? What is that, Luna? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Takira. Let's see if we can get Black History and Spies in the room. See there. What's happening? How you doing?
I'm not bad.
Listen, I'm jealous. Let me get my plants in the picture. Can you see my plants?
Oh, what's going on with this plant business?
I'm coming to your house to get that plant. Okay. So Luna's saying dropping in and dropping out as I'm working, but whatever the topic is, it's truth. LOL. Oh, thank you so much for your support, Luna. So I gave a bit of a brief introduction to the folks in the room, and yeah, I guess shall we just kick off and start?
Brief instructions.
Brief introductions.
Okay. Yeah. So we're just gonna start.
Wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. We've been told. Empress of Kemet 8 is saying, I'm coming for my cuttings, you two. You know what? You can have some of the jade. You can have some of the jade cutting because she's just growing beautifully. So definitely you can have some of that. What's that plant behind you? You did tell me the name of it. What's it called?
Me?
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is.
It's just a plant. Ugh, you Jamaicans.
It's a thing.
I'm only joking. I'm joking. So, welcome, and yeah, wagwan for you today. I know you've been busy working today, so thank you so much for joining. Yep. And as always, we start off with what is your truth for today? And whilst Black History and Spies is working out his truth, he's probably already got it written down. It's probably a poem.
I just thought of something. I've got something written down because I write every day, you see, so I'm always writing.
I know.
I'm not certain whether I've used this one before.
Okay, let's hear it.
Quietly walk away from negative behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And do you notice what I said? Quietly.
Yep.
So
you don't have to make up their noise or say this is negative.
Don't have an argument and then walk away. It's better to quietly walk away. Because if you do have an argument, somebody's going to want to come back to you and argue with you.
And match that energy, because that's where you're rising to the energy, aren't you? I completely agree. Quietly walk away from negative behavior. I love that truth. People, what truths have you got today? Pop them in the comments. We'd love to hear your truths for today. Thank you, Danny, for joining. And yeah, so tell us what we're talking about today then, please, Black History Inspires. I think he gave it away playing a bit of Bob Marley, but you tell us what we're talking about today.
Well, it was meant to be two things we're talking about today.
Oh, yeah.
One is to do with the Maroon, the Jamaican Maroon religion, but we can look at that afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Although it sort of, I wouldn't say dovetails into a Rastafari, but the African link is there.
Amazing. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So, what we're going to be talking about today, which you've already said something about, is Rastafari.
I mean, do you want me to give folks in the room a bit of an update as to what we spoke about last on the 11th of April? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Jamaica traditionally or historically had Christian Protestants, Seventh-day Adventists, Pentecostals, Moravians around 1754. What's that? Presbyterians, Evangelical Church, Baptist, Anglican Church, Roman Catholic, and Church of England. And then, go on.
Amongst others.
Amongst others. And then we touched upon the Taino religion of spirituality, which was called Zemi, Z-E-M-I, or Zemis. We spoke about Levant and Christian linked to Israel, Axum and Ethiopia, and Coptic Christianity, which was, probably the oldest, if you want to call it, form of Christianity. We spoke about it being introduced into Jamaica in 1509 when the Spanish came, and they came specifically for gold, glory, and God in that order. So if they couldn't get gold, and if they couldn't subjugate people and get glory, then they would wanted to convert them and give them religion.
Yep.
We spoke about Obia. Everybody knows about, well, I don't know how many people know about Obia, but we spoke about it's a spiritual healing and justice making system. It's not just about juju, and we spoke about the Congolese and the Akan people and Nani of the Maroons and that religion that you were going to touch upon today. We spoke about the Obia law that brought in and the Baptist church. Okay. A guy called George Lilly from America brought in the Baptist church.
Yep.
We spoke about the Baptist War because it was predicated, or it was led by two Baptist ministers. And what are the names again?
No, one Baptist minister.
Was it just one? Okay.
Namely Sam Sharp.
That's it, Sam Sharp. What was it Paul Bogle about then as well?
Yeah, Bogle was 1865.
Oh, so there was two Baptist wars?
Yes.
Okay. I never knew that. Right.
No, Sam Sharp was 1931 to 1932, and Paul Bogle was after enslavement, after emancipation, and it was the Morant Bay Rebellion in 1865.
I did not know that. Thank you so much for letting me know. Before we go any further, I have to say hello to Leon H76. Hello to Diak Roland. Hello to Mame Wagwan, your granddaughter's in the life. And we spoke about the Sons of Africa 1787, the first black civil rights group in the UK. They were based in Manchester, and there was somebody called Lord Kitchener.
Oh, they were based in London.
They were based in London, but Lord Kitchener lived in Manchester. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that's much later. The Sons of Africa was in the 1700s and included people like Equiano and others.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
And then
but
that's what we got to.
The reason we spoke about Lord Kitchener was that there is the first blue plaque is gonna be placed in. And it's for Lord Kitchener himself.
And where's this plaque going to be placed?
And this will be in June.
Oh, yes. And this is in June. And it's going to be in Manchester. Amazing.
Well,
good stuff.
Yeah,
so did I cover that okay? Hello, Queen Riker. Thank you for joining. Did I cover that all right?
And sometimes when you recap, it's useful because then if there are any things that are certain, we could,
go back over. So if
yeah,
there's anything that I just recapped there, people that you thought, oh, I'd like to hear a bit more about that, or pop it in the comments and let's have a conversation. But for now, I shall go for it. Tell us why, Guan.
well, go on. So where to begin? Do you want me to begin with Rastafari or the Maroons?
Oh, I don't know. I'm excited. Which came first?
The Maroons.
Let's go with the Maroons then.
Okay. I'm going to try and get through the Maroons quite quickly so we can move on to Rastafari.
Yeah, I've got about 20 minutes. All right, cool.
I'm just aware of something. I have new glasses, so I'm not seeing as well as I can.
Oh,
I know.
no.
Yeah. I've invested in a new pair of glasses. And so if I stumble a little, it's because I'm still trying to
get used to them. Yeah.
So
the struggle is real. I hear that.
Yeah, the traditional Jamaican Maroon religion known as Kung Fu.
How do you spell that?
Kumfu.
Okay, I'm gonna.
And it was developed by a mix of West and Central African religious practices within the Maroon communities in Jamaica.
Do we know where that name came from?
It's a African, West or Central African name. I haven't looked into.
Are we calling it the original Maroon religion? What did you call it?
Well, remember the Maroons actually escaped into the hills, etc. So they were a mix of people from Central Africa and from South Africa, and they basically combined all their knowledge of religious practices and called it Kung Fu.
Amazing. I'd love to find out what that actually means. I'm going to do a bit of research on that.
I'll find out at some point and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
But I didn't get a chance to look into the details of that.
Okay.
The other thing is, while the traditional religion of the Maroons was absorbed by Christianity, some of it still exists today. Some of the old practices are still there in the Maroon communities. Yeah.
Okay.
Some have said that the Maroon religious practices actually brought on Kumina, which is one of the other religious practices in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's what I want to know about. Okay.
They have a thing in the Maroon communities called the Cromanti dance.
Yes.
Yeah, Cromanti is the place where most of them were shipped when they were shipped by the British to the Caribbean. So
is it Coromanti with a K?
It can be with a K, a C, it could be Caramantine, it could be, there's so many different names, but what they call it is Coromanti with a K. Okay?
Yeah, because I remember somebody in the family talking about seeing this dance as a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What can be deduced today about the religion's origins? Point the idea that it was founded upon the Akan religion, which was the people of what is now in Ghana and in the Ivory Coast. Okay, because the Akans are spread in two different places, Ghana and Ivory Coast.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was then syncretized with other African beliefs brought together. Okay. What they found is a number of Akan aspects within the religion. That's why, because the language itself is Twi, T-W-I.
Because we've just had a question in here from Queen Riker saying that is also the name of the tongue they speak, right?
Is exactly it. So they came to an agreement that Twi was what they were going to use. But and there were different people with different languages when they were brought together in the as enslaved people in the Caribbean, and then when they were shipped, then when they escaped into the hills, they had to come to some kind of agreement as to how they were going to communicate with one another.
Wow.
And they even used the on, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which was an Akan thing again.
Yes, I've heard about that. Amazing.
However, very little is written about the religion, this particular original religion of the Jamaican Maroons.
Do we know what that is?
Because of little contact with them. They remember they live in their own places and they don't really contact, tell other people about their business.
Yeah, true. But they did they not write down anything or have any
They didn't
records?
really write down. They follow the old oral tradition.
Yeah, okay, fair dues.
Yeah. It's an oral tradition in a lot of cases. All right.
Yeah.
There was a pro-slavery. There was a pro-slavery historian.
Mm-hmm. Pro.
Excuse me. That's after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've still got a problem moment with my.
I know. Tech time.
What was written about was Obia.
Right.
That's one of the things that was written about, but other things were not really written about.
I wonder why.
Sorry?
I wonder why.
No, I don't think we can. I think I've explained it to you. It's oral. It's an oral tradition. But the thing with Obia, the Europeans were fascinated with Obia.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder why it was written down.
Because sorry.
They were fascinated with it. That's what I'm saying.
They actually created a law to stop people actually practicing Obia.
That's why they call it. That's why it's seen as such a bad thing today.
Exactly. They actually created a law to stop people practicing it, so it means that it did work, or else they wouldn't have had against it.
Okay.
Queen Nanny practiced it, etc. The dance itself is. When Anglican churches were first established, that's the Church of England in Jamaica, in the Maroon towns, because they established Christianity in the Maroon towns, you see. The traditional religion was practiced separately at that time from the Christianity. As other non-Anglican churches moved in, that the Protestants, other Protestant churches, like the Methodists and the Baptists and others, they rallied around the traditional Maroon beliefs, and it became less popular. Yeah, so people started, when the Anglican churches were introduced, some people got involved, but when all the others came in, like the Baptists, etc., most of the Maroons gravitated towards that. And so the actual religion itself became less popular. Okay. So even though it's still practiced today, it is less popular than the Protestant religion, even in the Maroon communities. Today, the Chromanti dance is still practiced on occasion, even by self-identified Christians.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
I could actually go into some other things, because this is where the old concept of duppies
has come from. I heard this as well, because let me just say what I heard, and I think I read it, and I also saw it in a program, is that when they practiced the dance and they got into a trance, that it was that there was a specific name that they would call the people. Right, I'll shut up. All right.
Yeah, in on to that.
Go on.
What they actually, in terms of their belief systems,
yeah,
the faith, they believe in one supreme deity. Yeah, whose name is Yankee Pong.
Who?
Yeah, Yankee Pong.
How do you spell that?
Ynki
I
Pong.
Pong.
Yankee Pong.
Never heard of this guy.
Right. And Yankee Pong rules the cosmos and
Right.
is really unconcerned with human life.
Uh-huh.
However, below Yankee Pong exists ancestor spirits.
Yes, we spoke about
And
this last
these
week, didn't we?
some are called duppies or jumbies or biggie man. Right?
Ah, right.
These
See.
have hierarchies in their own right and can be communicated with by humans so that powers can be used for worldly matters.
And that's where Duppy come from.
That's where it's supposed
Right.
to come from. We're not too certain, but there's
Right.
a lot of different interpretations.
Mm.
Spirits, as I said, the matter of spirits and their influence on earth is considered to be called obia. That's where it comes in, you see. These spirits and obia are linked. Yeah? Although the use of that specific term is currently controversial,
Mm-hmm.
and some instead call it science.
Oh, yeah.
Some people call it obia science.
Yeah.
Because obia has been given a negative connotation since
Because
slavery.
I've heard people say that my work science pan me.
You
I've
see.
heard that. And I was like, oh, what? Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's also believed that Yankee Pong is the Jamaican Maroons' conception of the omnipotent Niami from Akan religion. You've heard that Niami is the supreme deity in Akan religion.
I didn't know. How do you spell that?
Myamae. Niami.
Ah, actually, yes. You know what? It's just the spelling.
Yeah.
Right.
But that is the supreme being in Akan. So there is a very strong Akan influence on the religion. Yeah. Other Akan deities, are reported to have been recognized, like Asasimaya and Ipo, but let's not go into all of those names at this moment. The Akan base word, right, comfy. The Akan base word, comfy. You remember you were asking about comfy?
Yeah,
it's a
go on.
base word,
Yeah.
and it's used for the total spiritual system and understanding of the world. So it's your total comprehension and understanding of the world around you is called comfy. So that's why the religion's called comfy.
I get you.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just finally, a few things about the practices. A priest of the religion is referred to as a comfy man. Yeah. And the word comfy itself, as it says, has its origins in Twi, TWI, Twi
Yes.
land.
Yes.
Ceremonies are involved in Jamaican religion, Maroon religion, but no worship of the god. Yankee is practiced, unlike in traditional Akan religion. So in Maroon religion,
say that one more time.
what I'm saying is that they are ceremonies, but it doesn't actually involve the supreme being. It only involves the lower spirits,
the ancestor spirits.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but in Akan, even today, Akan actually brings in the supreme being, but the Maroons don't. Okay.
And so two things I wanted to say. The first thing is hello to SJD 28,000, to Kira saying love this, wow, and good evening SJD 28,000, thank you for that. And the second thing is, I think that a lot of the discussions we've had around European rule, and particularly around the way in which they try to control religion in Jamaica and the way that European religion has pretty much been is that there is the God, and then there is the priest, and then there is the worshipper, and that the worshipper needs to go through the priest to get to God. So it seems quite European in its concepts that the Maroons only work with the ancestor spirits, but the Akan go straight to the source because they don't need, do you see what I'm saying, any priest or, I love that. I love that.
And also there were lots of mistakes made when the Europeans went into Africa.
Yes.
Because they thought the ancestor spirits was all it was from the point of view of the African spirituality.
Yeah.
And we saw because ancestor spirits could mean a spirit of the tree, of the river, of the mountain, of the the forest.
Yeah, yeah.
So literally, ancestor spirits can be almost anything, literally anything. But if that's all you're looking at, then you'll forget about the supreme deity.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
Finally, an important ceremony of the religion is the chromantic dance, as I said, and it involves the direction of a fetman or a fateman.
How do you spell that?
F-E-T-E, fate. Sorry, fate. I'm trying not to say F-A-T-E. I think it's fate, isn't it? It's a fateman, but it's spelled F-E-T-E.
And he's the man that does the dance?
Is a ritual specialist. They're the specialists behind the ritual. They know how it operates, the practices and everything. So the dance is led by a fateman. Okay? And there's the sacrifice of an animal as well within this.
Yep.
The purpose of the dance is for participants, here's what you were saying before, to be possessed by the ancestral spirits.
In order to
connect with the spirits.
In order to
connect with the spirits. What else do you want?
To connect with them and get some type of learning lesson.
No, you're looking at it from a European perspective.
Oh, just to connect. Fair enough. I'm just asking. Yes, you're right. You're right.
No, from an African perspective, everything is about experiencing.
Yes.
It's about experience. So when you connect with the spirit, you experience the power of the spirit within you.
Yeah.
You experience the knowledge of the spirit coming into you. You know, it's do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, it's not about getting something. I completely agree, and you're right. That was that I wouldn't call it an ignorant comment to make, but you're right. And one thing that I always say is I am a person who likes to experience things. I don't need to know it. I don't need to be a specialist at it or anything, but I completely get it. Welcome to Bronte, Lauren. Thank you for joining. Thank you to Palm, Vino Papi. But yes, connection. I love that.
Yeah, the other thing to remember in terms of European ways of looking at things, the vast majority of things are based on analysis.
And the result.
You get me? Compared to experience. Isn't it great just to experience something and not needing to analyze it and to ask the question why and all of that?
Yeah. Can I just say something? You know, when you said you get me, you sounded so Mancunian.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I absolutely love that. I really do love that.
Yeah.
You connect just for the point of connection, and that's it. It's very similar. It's very, sorry to cut you. It's very similar to meditation. You don't meditate with a point of meditating and then getting something at the end of it. You meditate to be in the moment and to get in the flow and to still your mind. And that is what's about the experience.
They want to be in the moment. They want to be part of the ancestors. They want to be part of what's going on. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start in things, you lose that connection.
I love it. Start analysing it and putting it in a box and looking for a result and all of them thing there.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do that. I'm just saying in terms of dealing with spirits and dealing with connection to the higher power.
Yes.
You know, analysing it to death is not really going to connect you any quicker.
That's it.
You see?
Okay.
You might be able to understand it, but what's the point of just understanding something and not actually experiencing it?
I completely
You
get
actually
it.
understand it more when you experience it.
I completely get it. I love it. Thank you.
But that's just me saying that. And finally, the Jamaican Maroon Creole language is like Jamaican patois, used during the Cromanti dance when addressing people possessed by the Maroon ancestor. Can you just excuse me for a second? I want to turn the light on.
Yep, that's
I'm getting
fine.
a bit.
Yeah, it's getting dark quick, man.
Yeah.
So, people, whilst Black History Inspires is turning the light on, is there anything that you want to comment about what you've just heard? Because that's kind of blown my mind. It's definitely changed the way that I think about spirituality and connection and experience. And also, it really resonates with me just in terms of the way in which, you know, the Maroon people and these spirituality systems, the way that, you know, it just resonates. It feels like home. It feels familiar, if that makes sense. Bronte, I don't know why you're laughing. Man has to turn on the light because you'll always laugh. But anyway, but I'm guessing, Bronte, you will love this because you're very much spiritually attuned and do all of this historic work. So I'm hoping that you're getting something from it because I am absolutely loving it. Thank you.
You're
So,
loving it.
Takiri is saying, just to connect is enough. It's so high to do just that. There you go. Listen, me, I got pin that comment right there. That's exactly what I was trying to say. You said it. Thank you, Takira.
Can I say that kind of connection happens also in the ordinary churches, because say for instance in the Pentecostal churches they do a thing they call getting into spirit.
The Holy Ghost, where they start doing the praise dance.
It's literally a link with the ancestors of Africa.
Yeah. I completely agree. That's why Baptist churches and Pentecostal churches are so lit. And people are like, wow, what's wrong with you? They're connecting, man.
Yeah.
Why? Right.
And that connection also helped to reduce the stress and the trauma of enslavement and the memories of enslavement, which is kept ourselves.
So, and that's what I was about to say. We know the restorative properties and we know the healing properties of song, dance, movement, getting into your body, all of those things there. You know, they call it New Age these days, and they've pulled it from Eastern and all of these different places, and they're talking about, but we know the healing properties of it. It helps to address trauma. And I would also say that, you know, Jamaican people in particular, Caribbean people, and also African peoples and diasporic peoples are very much connected to their bodies and to music and to movement and to song and to dance. There is a real connection to it. That's part of the reason why we do it a lot, whether it be just in our own homes or professionally. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why everywhere you go, you see young people just dancing. Like I was at Powerhouse on Friday at a youth session with Mame. I hope she's still in the chat. And all they were doing was just dancing and laughing and joking and moving. If they was to go into school or college, a teacher might turn around and say, what's wrong with you? Keep still, it's disrespectful. But this is the connection that you talk about.
You know something?
I'm just blowing my mind.
When I think about this, I think that we are about expression and impression.
And creation.
Whilst that's a way to get away from repression and depression.
Let me write that down. Listen though, why are you dropping these bombs?
We are about expression and impression.
Yeah.
We like to express and we like to impress. Yeah. And we're not just about, and I won't say Europeans are about this, but we're not just about repression and depression.
That is a poem. That is a poem. Listen, you got bare love hearts here. And listen.
By the way, I've not written this down. I just came up with it.
Well, I've written it down and I'm going to send it to you.
Well, you'll have to send it.
I'm going to say is Bronte is saying, and it's so true, and I know Bronte does a lot of trauma work with the work that she does with young people, particularly young girls. We carry trauma in our hips, so moving them and allowing higher power through dance is so powerful and allows us to connect with our ancestors. That's it, the live's done, we finished, we've just got the teaching.
The funny thing is, if you look around the rest of the world, the other 90% of people who are not white people, dance is very important to them. Think about it.
Listen. Listen. I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
Yeah.
We are about expression and impression to get away from repression and depression.
Yeah, that's just me.
That is a tongue teaser, but I love it.
So let's move on to Rastafarianism or Rastafarians.
Ja! Everybody say Ja in the comments and throw up some red, gold, and green love hearts, please. Throw up some fists because I'm so excited for this. Go on.
Right, just to introduce, the first part of it is introduction.
Okay.
And Rastafari is a religious and political movement.
Okay.
That began in Jamaica in the 1930s.
So it's still quite new. It's less than 100 years old.
And it was adopted by many groups around the globe.
Around the globe?
Around the globe.
The globe.
It combines Protestant Christianity, mysticism, and the Pan-African political consciousness.
Protestant Christianity.
Yeah, because
mysticism,
of the Bible and the 12 tribes and all of that. Yeah.
And Pan-Africanism. And
mysticism and the Pan-African political consciousness.
Political consciousness.
Because the Rastafari are very political. Remember Bob Marley, and a lot of his words were all Pan-African political consciousness.
I completely agree. And before you go any further, I need to tell somebody off. First of all, Bronte Lauren, you should have had your notepad. You should have already have it to write down these gems of knowledge. And then secondly, the Rebel Princess has joined. We bow down. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to A-Class 777 for joining. And thank you for all of the love hearts that you threw up. I love it. Carry on.
Okay. So, descendants of African enslaved people,
yes,
were converted to Christianity in Jamaica by missionaries using the text of the King James Version of the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So descendants of enslaved people were converted to Christianity in Jamaica by the missionaries, which started from the Baptists right through. Actually, even before that, the Moravians, but the Baptists were the ones that had a huge impact. And then the Methodists and others, Presbyterians, all came later.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as I said, they used the King James Version of the Bible, okay, which was written, as you know, by King James in 1601, I think it was.
I didn't know that, but thank you.
Well, it was written as opposed to the Vulgate, which was the Bible used by the Roman Catholics, which also had 73 books. Yeah, they decided to create their own, and it has only 66 books of the Bible. Interesting.
So anyway, they didn't write it; they basically just doctored it. Somebody else said they did a remix, didn't they?
Yeah, they basically copied it and rewritten certain parts of it into their own way. Remember, written in the King James, in the language of that time, with the ye and the thee and all of that,
and the thou and the.
Yep. Yeah. So the Rastafari maintain that the King James Version is a corrupted account of the true word of God.
I'm not saying a word.
Since the English slave owners promoted incorrect readings, that's the slave Bible, you remember?
Yes.
the Bible in order to better control enslaved people.
Okay.
That's why I believe that it is corrupt.
So basically what you're saying, that the King James Version was the slave Bible.
Yes, that was what, remember, in the British colonies, it was the slave Bible. British colonies. Don't forget.
So let me tell you something then. So you're getting some love in here and you're getting some hand claps, but I need to ask. So in 2022, sorry, when African diasporic Black people in particular are reading the King James Version of the Bible, they are indoctrinating themselves with the slave Bible.
Not necessarily. No, they are reading the English version of the Bible.
But that version seeks to subjugate African people.
That was the one that was used to subjugate African people.
That's what I was saying.
Yes, because they had what they call the slave Bible, where they took out certain books and certain verses and chapters so that they wouldn't know about freedom and being able to,
and individuality and free will. So Black Education UK is saying it was their interpretation. So I guess I'm trying to push a point to say that essentially that text there is corrupt. It's corrupt because it's not true. It's corrupt because they've picked and chosen what they want to put in there. It's their interpretation, but it's also corrupt because it's corrupting our minds and probably our spirits in that respect, because it's not teaching about freedom or our individual freedom and our power and our purpose and all of those things. My God.
Yep. So you can actually read about this in the Britannica.com. It actually in the Britannica itself, the encyclopedia. That's what the Rastafarians believe. Yeah.
Britannica.com.
That doesn't mean that the Rastafarians don't use the Bible. They do have a link with the Bible because of the 12 tribes of Israel, etc. But we're looking at the Judaistic Bible.
Yes,
in other words, the old.
I wanted to ask something. I've heard something about the Book of Pibby. Is that the Book of Pibby? Have you never heard of Pibby? Let me write down the spelling on it. If anybody's heard of this, because I was told that this is the book that the Rastafarians will study.
Mm-hmm.
It could be another name for the Bible that they're using, but I don't know which version. But
no, it could be a name for the Old Testament.
Okay.
Because remember, they don't really deal with the New Testament. It's the Old Testament with the 12 of Israel.
Okay.
I'm
learning a lot.
So to continue, now here's some more learning that you may or may not know about. The first branch of Rastafari is believed to have been established in Jamaica in 1935.
Okay.
By a man called Leonard P. Howell.
Is it? Was it the Howells?
Howell, H-O-W-E.
Yeah, I know the name. I know. I was speaking to a Howell just on the weekend.
And what do you think he preached?
Baptist?
He preached the divinity of Haile Selassie.
Oh, so where did you...
Now you see it coming together.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Remember, Judaistic. There's the 12 tribes of Israel, and then there's the link with Haile Selassie.
Yeah.
So that's what we're coming on to now. But we also have another link to look at in a second.
Yeah.
Since the origination of Rastafari, the Rasta movement has expanded far beyond the island of Jamaica. And Rastas now live all over the world. There are Rastafarian cultures in all parts of Europe, Asia, New Zealand. Interesting.
Wow.
United States, and especially in Africa.
Oh, yeah, we know this.
Yeah. So Rastafarian culture has gone all over the world.
So can I ask, have we got any conservative guesses, any numbers, any stats as to how many Rastas there may be in Jamaica, first of all, in the Caribbean, or the world over?
It's difficult to say, but I think there might be some information later on, but I'm not certain. It's difficult to say.
Okay.
In Jamaica, there isn't a lot, funnily enough.
I wonder why that is.
You'd think there'd be a lot of them, but there isn't actually.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what was said about the numbers. Oh, I should have checked that out, shouldn't I? It's just that I'm not really into numbers in terms of.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We can do some of our own research after this, because it would be good to know. It really, really would be good to know. SJD 28,000 has put in something in the comments. Haile Selassie is said to be a direct descendant of King David. Yes.
Right. Here's an example.
Okay.
The small town of Shashamane.
Yes.
Which is in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Has 13,000 people. Yeah.
Okay.
Of which 90% are Christian and 10% are Muslim.
Okay.
And a number of those are Rastafarians.
Okay.
But it doesn't give exact figures. I think in Jamaica, I'm not certain. I can't really tell you exactly how many people.
I wouldn't want you to hazard a guess, because we don't know.
But
thank you to Tribal Marks for joining, first of all.
Yeah, I can find out for you. Anyway, the important thing about Rastafari is it's much more than a religion.
Yeah.
It's a way of life.
It certainly is.
It's a movement, and it's a mindset.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's what Bob Marley used to talk about, because, Rastafarians don't want to be put in a box.
Yep.
Yeah. They want the freedom to be able to do what the Jah tells them to do.
Exactly. Lauryn Hill, in her MTV Unplugged album, loved it. You can see some of it online. You can listen to it. She's got a song called "I Get Out," and she's married to the son of Bob Marley. And in the song, she's saying, I get out of all the boxes. I get out. You can't hold me any longer. And it's directly talking about what you're saying.
That's exactly.
That's why I know it to be true.
It's a bit like spirituality. I used to be in the church.
Yes.
And spirituality has given me a lot of freedom. I'm not in any box. If somebody asks me, "Oh, what church do you go to?" I say, "Well, I'm spiritual."
I always say I belong to the Church of Angeli. That is me, my church.
Yeah. Well, the temple. Your body is a temple.
So them say.
Yeah. So let me give you someone else who had an influence on Rastafarian, Marcus Garvey.
Who's that then?
Oh,
joking.
Don't know. Was a Jamaican black nationalist and separatist who around during the First World War in 1516, and in August 1920, is Universal Negro Improvement Association, which we call UNIA, UNIA, claimed 4 million members and 25,000 attended its Madison Square Garden meetings.
Listen, I've done some research onto this man, and he achieved some things. He really, really did. And my co-director for the organisation that I run, his given middle name is Garveyite. There you go. So he is if you want to call it a disciple, or he follows those type of Garveyite teachings.
His real middle name was Mosiah.
Okay.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Yes.
Some called him the Black Moses.
Yes.
But as I said, to date, he's had the largest black following of any century.
Ever.
Well, we can't say ever, because we don't know what happened before enslavement.
That's true. Okay.
There may have been greater followings before him,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
in modern history, you know, he's had the largest following, 4 million. In America alone, he had 2 million followers.
I know. I know
Yeah.
he did well. That's why a man like Dr. Umar Johnson is trying to do what he did, but he can't, man. That's all I'm saying.
He needs a little more than just talk. Marcus Garvey was not just about talk, it was
He
about
did bits, Marcus Garvey. He did
yeah.
bits. He had his own, he had shops, he had his own liner, he had his
grocery,
newspaper. Say
restaurant,
that again.
grocery shops, restaurants, hat makers, everything.
Yeah, yeah, he had it all. He had printing
And,
presses.
and he also bought ships.
Yeah, he had his own shipping company, Black Star Liner.
Yep.
You know, he had his newspaper, which was in circulation and did really, really well. Wow, he did so much.
Well, let me tell you what the link is with Marcus Garvey.
Go
the
on.
Rastafarian movement teaches that Marcus Garvey was a great motivator, and he told the African people of the world to unite and return to Africa, the homeland.
Mm.
But even more than that, he said his vision was blacks to overcome their feelings of inferiority and build upon their own unique and evolving culture. And ultimately to return to Africa, to redeem their homeland and to build a future.
I love it. So can I just say two things there? First of all, Black Education UK has said the first Black Lottery as well. Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you to Boys to Men for joining. boystomen.org.uk. Thank you so much for joining. And I guess that the other thing I wanted to say is when you introduced Marcus Garvey, you said nationalist and separatist. Separatist basically meaning that he was advocating for black people to go back to Africa and do their own thing of their own volition, all of those things. People would call it separatism. Is that correct?
And nationalist in the sense that each country wanted to be independent, to be national, have their own national identity, etc., which started in 1957 with Ghana's independence.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And that all the other countries became independent to a point. To a point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, I don't believe we've really got true independence yet.
Well, I'm not saying a word about that one.
Anyway, here's something else that Marcus Garvey said. Oh, by the way, don't forget he also had his own newspaper.
Yeah, said that. Yeah, he did bits with his newspaper.
But here's something he told his followers.
Okay.
He told his followers to look towards Africa for the crowning of a black king. He shall be the Redeemer.
When did he say this?
That was during the time in the 1920s.
And then,
he told followers that they should look to Africa for the crowning of a black king. Wow. He shall be the Redeemer.
And look at that.
And therefore, Garvey often used many biblical terms in his teaching to free his movement from the oppression of white man. That's why he called them the white man. Whether he meant them to be taken literally is unclear, but what is clear is that many Jamaicans took them literally. An event that would happen in 1930 would be as important to a Rastafarian, as the birth of Jesus is to Christianity.
Wow.
Guess what happened? In 1930, a man named Tafari Makona, or Rastafari, Ras meaning king,
yes,
claimed himself Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie I, as well as the traditional titles King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the conquering Lion of
Judah. Sorry.
Powerful, isn't it?
Powerful. Powers. Listen, let me just read out a couple of comments. I've just got chills. So Black Education UK is saying exactly he was an advocate for blacks returning to Africa. SJD 28,000 is saying, I read about Marcus Garvey at the age of 16 and this was where I began my journey into world history. he was such a motivator, and he's inspired so many people. King of Kings, Lord of Lords.
Yeah.
Love it.
To some Jamaicans, this meant that Garvey's prophecy had been fulfilled. Interesting.
Yeah.
These people turned to the Bible, and through literal translation of the documents found much correlation with what had taken place. An important correlation is the fact that Selassie claimed to be a direct descendant of King David, which somebody mentioned before.
Yeah.
Yeah? That was a big correlation in terms of the whole concept of developing this way of life.
So, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, just go on. So
I was just going to say, so the way of life is about freedom. It's about not being in a box. It's about spirituality and recognizing, if you want to call it, the God and the truth in other people. Because I know that when I was younger, I used to go to the HQ in Manchester. I used to go to the dances. I was part of the 12 tribes, the colour dances. My tribe is Dan. No, I'm not Dan. I'm Levi, sorry.
okay.
So I do know a bit about it, hence why I'm so gassed about it. But I do recognise that it's a peaceful religion. They just talk and reason, peace and truth. And do you know what I mean? I love it. I love it.
And then to continue that correlation, the relationship to David also had a correlation to Revelation 5 to 5 verse chapter 5 verses 2 to 5,
which are
about the coming of the Messiah. Because what they believe now was the Messiah was already here in the form of Haile Selassie the First.
Why?
Powerful stuff.
It does feel powerful.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry, I just have to read something out. I'm such an idiot. HCD 28,000 said the tribe of Levi represents the priesthood well. You know, and baby K Archery said true. So yes,
and the priesthood as we know it, the true priesthood, are teachers and knowledge keepers.
Don't know what else to say.
Spiritual, but remember, in ancient Egypt, there was no distinction in ancient Egypt between teacher, scientist, and priest.
Yes, you are right.
No distinction. The same people who taught the Greeks were the same people who were the priests.
And the reason why they could do that is because they were multi-geniuses, and it was no problem. It was light work for them to go and study for not 3 years like we do at university, but for 30 years.
40 years.
40 years, so they could become experts.
Be at the feet of a master.
Yes, that's why they call them master teachers. Is that right?
The most the Greeks, I think, ever did. You could do it between 20 and 40 years. It depends on,
how fast
but you learned maths, you learned philosophy, you learned astronomy, you learned everything. So you didn't go to university to do a degree in English. You went to university to do a degree in every single degree that's out there.
That is something else, man.
Yeah. And here's the thing, the ancient Greeks only one particular Greek who studied at the feet of the masters in ancient Egypt. And this was when ancient Egypt was before they controlled it.
Yes.
Before 332 BC. He was there for 13 years. All the others took a lot less. So therefore, what they went away with, they then broke up the importance of spiritual and logic.
Spirits and logic, yes.
The spiritual and the logical has to be together to create balance, which is Mahat.
Mahat, yes.
Yeah. But the point is taking one and leaving the other meant it.
Since it was imbalanced.
Since 332 BC, we've had an imbalanced world.
I can't. Listen. 332 BC.
But
And you know what else it is? You know what else it is as well? Sorry to cut you. It's imbalanced, weighted on the masculine and logic. And the feminine has been denigrated and has been cut out of history. Like, I didn't even know until the other day about the female pharaohs because they hid them. They got rid. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh.
Well, I think I've taught about some of the female pharaohs, like you know, was one of the greatest female pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Not one of the greatest female, one of the greatest pharaohs.
Yep.
Yeah. And there were others. There were lots of others. Not many, but there were. But here's the thing. The thing about ancient Egypt, if we could just say something now, is ancient Egypt, it wasn't that the pharaohs ruled by themselves. Mm-hmm. They had next to them what was called a great queen. Yeah. Like Queen Nefertari, mm-hmm. like Queen Nefertiti. Yeah. They were the queens that actually sat by their side. And if you look at Queen T was the first queen in history in ancient Egypt to actually had more influence, even more than her husband. Wow. Gave her that influence because she was so good.
And it was okay, and they allowed it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't a thing, because they understood that they needed that balance.
Exactly. It's all about balance. Mm. That's why you've got the male and female energy. It's about
the yin and the yang and the duality, the law of duality, man. The laws of the universe. You can't change that. You can't play
and even that. And even the concept of Mahat, balance is an important element.
Super important.
But
anyway,
the point
I think we need to have another live in Egypt, because
we can have something on spirituality.
Yeah, I think we need to have another
one. Just to finish off a little bit more.
Yep.
In Jamaica, remember we mentioned this guy Leonard P. Howell?
Yes.
Along with two other guys, J.N. Hibbert and Archibald Dunkel. Mm-hmm. They began to spread the word of the Messiah coming to save the African people. Think about that. The Messiah coming. Who's the Messiah? Haile Selassie the First. Coming to save the African people. Yeah. Yeah? So Selassie, they believe Selassie became their living God. Yeah? The people who listened to this began to call themselves Rastafarians.
After after hit, because he was called Ras, what was his name?
Hey? Who?
Haile Selassie's original name before he came along.
Ras Makonnen. Ras Makona. Mokenne is. Yeah. That's what he was called. But when he was crowned as Haile Selassie the First. Mm. You know, like all kings, the names, their original name is not actually what they're crowning.
Yeah, what they're crowned.
Yeah.
So I'm going right off kilter here now. But I read that what's he called now? The Ethiopian rapper who was killed, Nipsey Hussle. Yeah. I read that he was related to Haile Selassie.
I don't know.
And part of the reason why Nipsey was so powerful and great at what he did is because he took those teachings and he just had that kind of like power in his bloodline. Maybe I'm going somewhere left with it, but I'm just saying that's what I read. I'm going to do a bit of research.
Yeah, he was following some of the greats in history that a lot of them you wouldn't even know too much about them.
Okay.
You know, but they were able to do things. One of them is Dr. Claude Anderson.
Oh yeah.
You know, who wrote the book what was it called? Powernomics.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was following people like him because it was about establishing yourself, actually getting something physical, like a shop, like land, like houses, like property, and as your way to actually leverage wealth. Yeah. And also leverage wealth in your own community, because that was part of the problem. The part of the problem in our community is we do not leverage wealth.
Well, we've had discussions on that, haven't we? We've had some
Yeah.
amazing guys on that.
And then finally, with regards to this, as I said, to these new Rastafarians, Ethiopia became their Zion.
Zion.
Yeah. And Haile Selassie, their Messiah. The Rastafari religion would continue to follow this trend of interpreting the Bible literally, which led to practices that made the religion unique from other religions, because they took things literally.
Yeah.
Rather than interpret things
in
their own way, which then means literally, well, what it basically means, you end up with about 1 million different interpretations as it is now.
But if you take it literally, no, you're right, I hear you.
Yeah. But whether I'm almost certain they pick and choose certain things just like everybody else.
Yeah. But based upon because they're human, aren't they? That's what humans do. Yeah.
So as I said, that's a little bit about the Rastafarians.
So listen, next week, can we do a part 3 and can we talk about how Rasta live?
Yes, I've got all that already. I've got ganja smoking and everything.
All of that, please. Sorry.
Yeah. And obviously the dietary lifestyle.
Right, because listen, Rastas have been vegan from day. Now everybody want to jump on veganism, saying, "Oh my gosh, like it's this new trend." And listen, Rasta been icon from day.
And we can also talk about Rastafarian social thought.
Yes,
the way.
So, got a couple comments. Black Education UK, absolutely Powernomics and Black Economics. HDD 28,000. He visited Jamaica in the 60s, and his bloodline can be traced back to King Menelik. Whoa.
Oh yes, it was in, yeah.
Boy.
We haven't even mentioned Menelik.
Yes, he was an amazing person.
Whose mother was? Can you remember who his mother was?
Wasn't it
Queen
T?
Oh, Queen of
Sheba. Oh,
and
yeah.
She was the one who was linked with Solomon.
Yes.
You see. And that child was meant to be Solomon's child. That was taken back to Africa. But remember, in those days, Africa and Israel and all those areas were literally one and the same.
Yeah. What was it? The Levant?
Ancient Egypt actually controlled that area as part of its empire.
I know.
Yeah. But people
don't know this. People want to think, say, you know, I can't even. That's why we need to learn history. Because once we recognize where we're coming from, we know where we're going. And who said it best?
Yep.
A people without a knowledge of their
history is like a tree without history, culture, and origins is like a tree without roots.
Right.
But Dr. John Henry Clarke says it even better.
Go on.
He basically says something similar. He says history is a clock by which we measure our time of day. Yeah, and in measuring our time of day, we're able to understand who we are, where we're coming from, where we are. But instead of saying where we need to go, he says how far we have left to go, which I think is a brilliant way of looking at it. I'll send you that quotation.
Yeah, John Henry Clarke, history is a clock. I'm going to put it in the comments. I think I'll be able to pin it for the last time. John Henrik Clarke. And for anybody who knows John Henrik Clarke, absolute bad man. You need to look into his teachings, into his writings, into his philosophies. Thank you to Africa Way Home. Thank you so much for joining. Hope the babies are well. So history is a clock, and that, if you type in his name and the first part of that, it will probably come up with the full quote. Amazing. So next week we're going to talk about Rasta Part 3. I don't know why you started speaking about ganja.
I'll give you the full quote now.
Go for
All
it.
it is, history is not everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it is the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a compass they use to find themselves on the map of human geography. You see, the way you put it better, it tells them where they are, but more importantly, what they must be.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's not just about achievements and what you do. It's about who you become as a person.
Power.
Yep.
Boy. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words. I've really enjoyed tonight. I've got some absolute gems. I hope people have got the notebooks out. I hope people have written down stuff. I know that some people have been jumping out the live and Googling and coming back in. I love it. I've popped some names in the comments. I've pinned some things as well for you to go away and do some extra research. Today we were speaking about part 2, how Jamaica got religion. We spoke about the Coromansi religion of the Maroons, and we also spoke about Rastafarianism. Rastafarianism is so big that we're going to do a part 3 next week. Dad said we're going to talk about ganja tea and social reasoning.
What was that? Ganja tea?
You said it.
I said ganja.
Same thing, man. Ganja tea.
No, it's about ganja smoking. Where did that? How does it link into the being a Rastafarian? That's what we.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's true. I might even bring a drum with me. You know.
Oh, sorry, a drug.
A drummer.
Oh, a drum. Oh, sorry.
You sure you're not be smoking yourself? You sure? Anyway, so it's been really good tonight. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to bed smiling, because it's just like we've got such a rich history in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, in Africa, but also in the diaspora. Our history is so rich and complex and beautiful. Oh, yes. You know what I mean? We need to know as much as possible so we can share and speak our truth. The most important thing is that you speak the truth to the young people, tell the young people, get them to tune in. I will ask Black History Inspires to tone down some of the big words that he uses so the young people can understand. Yeah, you. Some of the words you're using, and I'm a linguist in it. I'm like, I don't get them all. But yeah, man, I beg you do, people, share this live, share it with young people, share it with Jamaicans. Just share it. And I know we keep saying it, YouTube channel coming soon, don't you worry. This is probably our 68th live now. We've been doing these lives for nearly 2 years. Nearly every single Monday. That's dedication for you, because Black History Inspires wants to inspire you with Black history and raise you up. That's what it's about. I'm a youth worker and a mental health practitioner, and specialise in trauma and development of young people and getting them to understand their minds and how they think. And this is part of, just a little part of the solution. So I'm hoping that you really liked tonight's live as much as we did. If you did, throw some love up the screen. I'm teeping that from Love from Dida. If you like the live, throw some love hearts up the screen. That's what we like to see. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Can I just mention...
Wait, is next week bank holiday? Yeah, it's bank holiday, isn't it?
Again.
You see this bank holiday just come in and mash up the dance. No money joking.
Well, if people want to come on and bank holiday, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, if people... Well, I don't... What I'm going to be doing bank holiday now. All right, tell you what you do. If people want a live next Monday, bank holiday, then we need likes, we need comments. We need you to let us know. If we get enough, then we'll do a live next Monday, bank holiday, just for y'all. But if we don't, then you're going to see us the Monday after for part 3, how Jamaica got religion. All right, is that okay? Is that a show? So I'm going to go now. I'm going to dance. I'm going to move my hips. I'm going to, you know, have a little dance to Bob Marley and have some dinner and go to bed. It's been a long day.
Actually,
right. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, I'll speak to you soon.
Take care, everybody. Thank you to everybody who joined. You can catch back up on the live on our channel. PT90, one and only Charmy, Renee Stick. Thank you so much for joining. Please follow the channel and we'll see you either next week or the week after, depending on who wants us on bank holiday. Thank you so much. See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.